Hello, everyone. Welcome to our last day of Horizon Wellness Week. While we are definitely sad that it's coming to an ending, we have a very exciting session today with Mackenzie and Lynn from YWCA. We are super excited to get started. So before we do, I'm just going to go over a couple Zoom features. So you'll see at the bottom there, there's the chat. You can chat with us through that. If you change the settings to all panelists and attendees, then everyone will be able to see your messages coming in. So feel free to throw some comments, any questions you have in there. You can also send any questions you have through the Q&A tool. If you do send any questions through the Q&A, just myself, Lynn, and Mackenzie will be able to see those. We also have live transcripts available today. So if you see at the bottom, there's a live transcript button. You can click that and either choose to show or hide subtitles, depending on what you'd like today. At the end of this session, we are going to be sending out a survey to get some feedback about today's session, as well as Wellness Week in general. We will also have a prize for Horizon residents through this survey. So make sure you stay till the end and fill it out for some feedback and your chance to win a $25 grocery gift card. So the last day of Horizon Wellness Week. In case this is the first session you're tuning into, Horizon Housing is an affordable housing provider here in Calgary. We serve just over 1,200 residents. And we know that this tough year has been full of changes and challenges. And we really wanted to find a new way to bring tools, resources, and wellness directly into the homes of as many people as we could. And so as a housing provider, we've reached out to our partner agencies like YWCA, as well as different local experts to bring different wellness topics directly to you through these virtual sessions. So far we've had a great week, and we're going to get started right away with today's session, Mindfulness as a Superpower. Today we have Mackenzie and Lynn from YWCA. They are both child development counselors, and they're both really passionate about wellness and mindfulness. For Mackenzie, mindfulness is a skill that she's grateful to practice because she believes there's nothing better than being able to slow down, be present, and savor the moment. For Lynn, mindfulness is a superpower that allows us to truly experience and enjoy life right from where we are. So without any further ado, I am going to let them take over and teach us how we can all use mindfulness as a superpower.
Thank you so much, Mara. That's a beautiful introduction you gave us. I feel so good just listening to you. Thank you so much. So my name is Lynn, and I am here with my co-worker, Mackenzie, who is an amazing person. And yeah, we just want to talk about mindfulness as a superpower. And just like Moira said, we are truly passionate about mindfulness because we've been practicing. We are no experts at it at this time, but we keep practicing, and we can say that it's really beneficial because we see its manifestation in our lives when we are being mindful. And even when we are not being mindful, we are aware that we are not being mindful. So thank you all for coming, and I hope that we're going to have a good session here today. And to get us started, we're going to start with a poll just to see where people are at when it comes to mindfulness. So please, and thank you. So 3 questions. Are you familiar with the idea of mindfulness? Or 1 question rather, and 3 answers. I wish we had 3, no, just 1. And any answer is just okay.
I'm not sure if you see the results here, ladies, but we've got about 6% saying that they are a mindfulness expert. We've got 88% saying that they kind of know the idea of mindfulness, and another 6% that are like, nope, I don't know what this is all about.
Awesome. Hopefully, everybody gets something out of the session today. And just let us know when it's all done, Moira.
Yeah, looks like we've staggered out on the answers coming in through the poll.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for participating with that. Alrighty. So today we are going to talk about what mindfulness is, We're going to talk about how to cultivate mindfulness. We're going to talk about reacting versus responding and how that can be a really beneficial tool for people. We're going to talk about why we should be more mindful, how to be more mindful, and how we can implement that into our daily lives and our daily practice. We have a great video that we're going to show at the end that will kind of summarize what we've been talking about and really amplify that idea of mindfulness being a superpower. And then we're going to talk briefly about our program, Mindful Moments, and we'll have a little bit of time at the end for questions. But because this is a mindfulness presentation, we would love to start with a quick belly breathing exercise, just to shift you into the mode of being able to be present for this workshop and ground yourself here in this moment. So I'm going to invite you all to get comfortable wherever you are, whatever that means to you. Place your feet on the ground. And I'll invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable or find a soft gaze. And as always, mindfulness is an invitation. And we're just going to connect with our breath. So we're going to begin by breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. We'll do a couple more here. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, you can come back to the room. Thank you for participating.
Thank you. That was calming for me. And I hope it meant something to someone out there. So we'll get started with what is mindfulness. So what does mindfulness mean to people? I know a number of people said, no, they don't know anything about mindfulness. So hopefully we are able to change that today. So mindfulness is the awareness that comes from paying attention on purpose to the present moment, non-judgmentally. And this definition is by John Kabat-Zinn. He's a mindfulness guru. And when I talk about this definition, we always want to point out a few things that we want to keep in mind. So paying attention. So that's one thing. So it is about paying attention to what is happening in this moment. And how are you doing it? You're doing it on purpose. So mindfulness doesn't happen by chance. You intentionally do mindfulness. Mindfulness is very intentional. What are you paying attention to? Are you paying attention to what is happening right now? Or are you paying attention to what happened in the past? Are you paying attention to what is going to happen in the future? Maybe are you anxious about the future? And then when are you doing it? You are doing it in this present moment. And so I am very aware that my son is not very happy and he's making his presence felt. And I apologize for that. So that's my moment, what's happening right now. And when we are being mindful, we are also doing it non-judgmentally. So I'll just tell Mackenzie, can you do that?
For sure.
I take care of
Yes.
Thank you.
The joys of working from home. And that was a perfect example, like Lynn is talking about. Sometimes we cannot necessarily control what is going on around us. And when we are being mindful, we're going to tolerate the moment as it is. So we're not going to try and change it. We're not going to try and necessarily make it better because we want to feel better. We're going to be in the moment, observe what's going on, and then hopefully make a plan as to how we can move forward with that situation. And we're going to have little judgments around what's going on. And I think a big part here with this judgments is we are humans, we have brains, we all were born with bias. And that means we naturally are categorizing things, organizing things, labeling them as good or bad. But we forget that other people have perspectives too, and different perspectives from us. And so what we maybe think is good or bad or annoying or weird, someone doesn't necessarily think that. So just trying to be aware of our judgments. We like to say too, try not to judge yourself for judging because it's going to happen, but just being aware of how we categorize things, label things, and how we should just try to let things be. So that in a nutshell is definition of mindfulness, but we obviously will tack away more at this as we continue. So this next slide here is about what mindfulness is not. So there's a lot of myths around mindfulness, so I'm going to just work around this. So mindfulness is not multitasking, which is funny because I feel like in society, multitasking is something that people expect or want or desire in their employees, in their friends. They want people to be able to do a bunch of different things, get a bunch of different things done throughout the day, when really it's not effective or efficient when we are bouncing back and forth from a bunch of different tasks. So mindfulness is just doing one thing at a time. Mindfulness is not avoiding. If uncomfortable feelings come up, often we want to just deflect, we want to escape, we want to deal with something else and forget about that uncomfortable feeling. But unfortunately, with mindfulness, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that, and we're going to notice what's going on for us. We're going to notice the sensations in our bodies when that uncomfortable feeling is coming up. We're going to notice what other emotions are arising when that's happening. And we're going to try really hard to not escape that moment. So mindfulness is also not a Band-Aid. Unfortunately, it's not going to solve all of our problems, but it's going to invite us to look at stress in a different way, with a different lens, and think about what we could do in our life to make a situation more beneficial, rather than just thinking it's a quick fix. Well, I did some belly breathing today and everything's going to be totally okay. So this next part here, relaxation, this is a big one too. So when people are practicing mindfulness, or they're beginning to practice mindfulness, they often think that mindfulness is going to relax them immediately. Unfortunately, mindfulness is not necessarily relaxing all the time. It can be calming for sure when we are connecting with our breath and we're tuning out our thoughts and we're just being present. That can be calming for some people. However, if we were to be in a relaxation state, that most likely is when we've escaped. So an example Lynn and I love to use, it's a bit of a cringy example, but if you were at the dentist and you were getting a filling, and if you were being mindful, you would be paying attention to that drill going into your tooth. You'd be paying attention to the sounds of the drill. You'd be paying attention to the bright light on your face and those terrible sunglasses that they make you wear. If you were relaxing, you would be imagining that you were on a beach, drinking a cold beverage, the sun is on you, and you've escaped. So that's the difference between relaxation and mindfulness. And lastly, mindfulness is not a religion. So some people do think that it's a certain type of religion, but it's actually just a way of life. It's a practice that people can implement at any age, any way. And there's no right or wrong way to do that. It is an opportunity for everybody to try and figure out what works for them. And so lastly, I'll just say on this slide, we have this photo here where there is a person walking, and in their little thought bubble, there's a bunch of different things going on. You can see they're thinking about their mismatching socks, they're thinking about music, they're thinking about their mail, they're thinking about another person, they're thinking about driving in the car. So there's obviously a lot going on. Whereas if you look over to that dog, the dog is just thinking about the sun and the trees. So the dog is being present with that walk. They're noticing what's just right in front of them. They're observing, and they're probably enjoying that walk a lot more than the person.
And talking about the man and the dog, I can just imagine how not very present the man is, because I'm looking at his thought bubble and I don't even see the trees and I don't see the sun, which brings us to how we tend to live our lives. We tend to live our lives in autopilot. We do things and then we suddenly realize that we have arrived and we didn't notice the process. How did we get here? And so how does mindfulness look? So most often we fall into those habits. Like I said, autopilot, we tend to do things just like we've done them. Sometimes we've done them so often and we just know how to get them done. Like sometimes when I used to drive to work pre-COVID, I would get to work and I can't even tell, like I don't remember when I drove over a Carrefour bridge. Like when did I drive over the bridge? That's because I am used to driving and we have this monkey minds. Our minds are always jumping from one thing to the other. The man in the picture testifies to that. We are always thinking of other things. I am driving and I'm probably thinking about the paper that I have to submit when I get to work. I'm thinking about the meeting that is coming up. So I am not there in my drive. I am thinking about what is going to happen. So I'm missing the moment. So because we fall into these habits, we tend to miss the moment. And what that does is, like what I tend to say is that when we are being mindful, we enjoy the moment. And when we are not being mindful, we do not enjoy this moment. We are not even enjoying the past because the past is gone already. And we are not enjoying the future really because it's not yet here. So at the end of the day, we are letting the past or the future to steal this moment from us. So we are enjoying nothing essentially. So all we need to do is to establish attention in this present moment. What are we doing in this present moment? We can make a change in this moment. Listening to us in this moment could hopefully make you get a better understanding of mindfulness. But if you're worried about what's going to happen, what's going to be for lunch, what can you do about that? Lunch is not yet here. This moment is here. So let's try to bring our attention to this moment.
Thanks, Lynn.
Next one.
All right, so cultivating mindfulness. So there's lots of different ways that we can practice mindfulness. And the first one there is breathing. So we did that at the beginning there, a simple breathing exercise where we're able to drop into our body, connect with our breath, and hopefully ground ourselves. The next part is a body scan. So this is a common practice of mindfulness where we are able to tune into our body and go from the head all the way down to our toes and begin to notice any sensations that are going on in the body. And so this can be uncomfortable for some people because perhaps they're noticing that they have a pain or a tension somewhere in their body, but it also invites you to move past that pain and tension and to just continue moving up the body and to notice what else is happening for you. And so this is a great way to kind of disconnect from our head because often we live in our head. We're always thinking with our thoughts and we forget about our body. And it's actually a lot safer to connect with the body and connect with our sensations rather than letting our head tell a story because we can get so wrapped up in our thoughts. You know, today I'm feeling super worried. I'm really worried about COVID. What if I get sick? Oh my goodness, what if my family gets sick? Where we can shift our focus and tune into our body and notice, yes, I actually have some tightness in my chest. That might be because I'm feeling worried, but just what else is going on in my body? And so I like to think that the body is a lot safer than our head at times and the stories that we tell ourselves. The last one here is meditation. So there's a lot of guided meditations. They are on YouTube. You can download apps and they can be relaxing. So you can specifically choose meditations that are guided to enhance that relaxation for you. And so we are going to do a meditation at the end as well. So we're going to try and give you different flavors of mindfulness and what practices because we want to help you find what will work for you. And then lastly, here we have informal mindful practices. So these are practices that we can just do in our daily life. So when we're walking, we're just walking like that person in the picture with the dog. Instead of thinking about the mail, instead of thinking about our mismatched socks, we can just think about the sun on our face. We can think about our shoes crunching through the leaves. We can think about, you know, the wind blowing through our hair. We can also just take time to mindfully eat. So when we're about to have that first bite of a meal, we can notice the food. We can notice what color it is. We can notice the smell of it. Then when we're actually eating it, we can notice the texture and how it feels going down our throat. We can also just try and notice maybe 5 red things. So like Lynn was saying, back in the day when we drive to work, oh so long ago, on our way to work, instead of going in that autopilot mode, perhaps we try and just see 5 red things along the way. So I notice a red stop sign. I notice a red car. I notice a person walking with a red jacket. So there's lots of different ways that we can have those informal mindful practices throughout the day.
And one thing that mindfulness does for us is helps us to respond instead of react. So when we react, when we are not being mindful, we tend to react to things that happen to us. And if we are being mindful, then we are responding. And what does it mean to respond? When we respond, we are putting a little distance, a little space between an event and what we do and our action. So that's the explanation right there. So the example that we like to share is like when you stub your toe. So I'm sure most people have had this experience. You're walking around somewhere and you stub your toe. It can be very painful. My first reaction if I am not being mindful, like I said, I try to be mindful, but I'm not always mindful. My first reaction will probably be like, who am I? And I'm not just saying it nicely. I'm like, who put this table here? Like whoever, whatever thing it is that I stopped my toe on. And that is it for most people. You're probably screaming and you're blaming somebody who put this thing here. I am good. You may even threaten to do something to the person that put that table there. That is when you are reacting, because the pain just it's sudden, and so you respond, you react right away. But if I am being mindful, I stop my toe, I give myself just a few seconds, I take a deep breath, like, oh, and I can actually apply some pressure on my toe. This hurts, I acknowledge it, like this really hurts. And but just by putting that reaction, I am not going to scream, because I've put that distance between the event, the stubbing of my toe, and the pain that I feel. So now I am paying attention to my toe. I am applying some pressure. I am taking care of myself. I'm looking to see if I got a boo-boo. Do I need a Band-Aid? Something like that. So I am taking care of myself instead of screaming, who put this table here, which is not going to be very helpful in that moment anyway, because whoever put it, they may own up, they may not own up, but how does that help me in the moment? So that's just an example that we like to use, and it works for just about anything, at work, at your job site, or even with your kids. When they do certain things, if your kid broke maybe your favorite mug, what do? Do you scream at them? Oh, who broke my mug? Or you just broke my mug. I'm never going to drink tea again. We know that's not going to happen, but that's a reaction in that moment. That's how you feel. I'm never going to drink tea again because you just broke my favorite mug. But when we react, we tend to hurt feelings. We do things that we don't mean. You may hurt your kids' feelings. You may, like, you're putting a distance between in your relationship, you're hurting your relationship. But if you're being mindful, you're noticing that, oh, that's my favorite mug that just went down there. And what can I do? Because you're being mindful, you're taking a deep breath, like, okay, how do I take care of the moment? Okay, get a mop, get a broom, let's sweep this together. What can we do in future? Should you be using this mop in the future? Should you be using something else? So having that conversation, when we respond, we are helping our relationship. We are not doing things that we are not intentionally hurting others. So yeah, giving us more space and then finding other ways of responding to a situation that will be more appropriate instead of that in the moment reaction. That's what mindfulness does to us.
So why should we be more mindful? So mindfulness has a tremendous amount of benefits, and mindfulness has been around the world for centuries and centuries, but it's becoming very common and popular, I would say, in Western cultures within the last 10 years. But they are finding so much science behind the benefits to it. And so this first one here is our well-being. So we have an increased ability to enjoy activities. So like Lynn is talking about, when we are being mindful, we're just taking it one day at a time. And we're not going to worry about yesterday, I tripped and I fell and it was so embarrassing and I can't stop thinking about it. And we're not going to worry about tomorrow. I have this really big exam coming up, or I have this really big presentation coming up and I'm so nervous. What if I forget all my lines? So we're just taking it one day at a time, which allows us to enjoy the present day, to enjoy everything that's happening for us right now. And when we're being mindful, we're less likely to desire for those things that we really want, to be thinking about how badly we just want to go to Mexico and be on the beach and get on a flight and go somewhere. We're going to make the best out of our time in Calgary, our time at home, and we're going to try really hard to find the benefits and the positives within this present moment. So there's a lot of benefits with mental health. There's decrease in anxiety and depression. And they are saying too that people, when they are practicing mindfulness, it's really helping people figure out what stressors are like big stressors and what stressors are little stressors, and to work through them one thing at a time rather than letting that anxiety fully take over and become really debilitating and overwhelming. There's a lot of benefits to physical health. So there's decreased risk of heart disease, improved sleep, lower blood pressure, and decreased chronic pain. So there's a lot of studies too with people being more mindful and studying pain. And so when we are experiencing pain, we often can fixate on that and label it as, this is so awful, I'm in so much pain, it hurts so much. But if we're able to just accept that we are in pain, label that it hurts, label those sensations, and it can decrease that intensity that we often feed into pain. And the more that we're feeding into that, the more that pain is going to amplify. So there's a lot of benefits to academic success, so improved attention and focus. And that's why a lot of schools are actually starting to implement mindfulness into their routines and their curriculum, which is super exciting to see. And so when kids are practicing mindfulness at school, when they're starting the day with a belly breathing exercise, when they're doing a quick body scan after lunch break, that's able to help them, shift the focus, get into gear for school, and try and just be more present in their days at school.
How can we be more mindful? We use our breath as the anchor. The breath is always there with us. We don't have to think about it. It's just there. So can we be more mindful? By bringing our attention to the breath? Because like I said, it's always there. So we don't pay attention. We don't decide like, I'm gonna breathe now, or when you're gonna stop breathing. But when we are being mindful, we are bringing our attention to the breath, which is always there, but now you're paying attention to it. And when we are paying attention to our breath, it does help us to calm down, which is just one of the benefits of mindfulness. That's not the intention of it, but it does help us to calm down. So when we are having big emotions, maybe when we flip our lids, just remind yourself, come back to your breath, pay attention to the breath. It helps us to begin to connect with our bodies, to begin to notice what to pay attention to. Like I was listening to what Mackenzie just said, like what are big events that we should be paying attention to, or small ones. I don't know if I said that really right, but our breath will help us to come back to this moment and to identify what we should be paying attention to and what we shouldn't be paying attention to. And like we don't know when it takes practice. So if you have flipped your lid already and somebody's telling you, calm down, take deep breaths, that can be very upsetting. But it takes practice. If we keep practicing, finding moments to just do it, and we can do it formally in meditations or informally, just taking a moment every now and then, like just notice your breath. I want to breathe right now. I just want to be in this moment right now. The more we do it, the better we get at it. And then when we have those big emotions, it will be easier for us to remember to come back to the breath and reconnect to our bodies.
I was just going to add there too, Lynn, a big part with our breath is when we do connect with our breathing and we do start doing that deep belly breathing, it actually triggers our rest and our digest part of our body, which is that parasympathetic nervous system. So that's like after you've had a huge meal at Thanksgiving and you can't move and you just want to lay on the couch. That's what our breath is actually helping us do. So it's naturally calming the body. So even when we are super heightened or whatever it is, it will take the edge off a little bit because we're shifting our focus and we're gearing those different parts of our body to slow down and to help us calm our bodies.
Thank you.
No worries. And so using our senses. So this is another huge part with mindfulness. When we clue into our 5 senses, we are bringing awareness to the present moment because our sensations 1 minute ago and 2 minutes from now are never going to be the same. I live on a really busy street and there's like sirens like every 3 minutes, but it's not the same sirens. They're always different sirens. And so it's important to just clue into those sensations and bring that focus and awareness to what's going on around you as well as inside you. So we're going to do a quick exercise here. This is called a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what we're going to do is I'm going to invite you to just notice 5 things that you see right now in front of you, whatever space you're in the room that you're in. It could be something that you look at every single day. It could be your laptop, or it could be something completely new. Maybe you're like, oh, look at that dust. But you're not going to judge it. You're just going to label, I see dust. So 5 things that you see. And now we're going to shift to 4 things that we feel. Maybe it's your legs on the chair. Your feet on the floor. Maybe you feel warm because it's beautiful out today. And now 3 things that you hear. One of them might be my voice. And now 2 things that you smell. This one can be tricky. Some people have a hard time with the smell part. And then lastly, 1 thing that you can taste. And so that's a really quick mindful practice, and it's always with you. It's free. Lynn loves to say that mindfulness is free. And you can do that anywhere, anytime, to just help you come back to that present moment. This is one of my favorite practices, especially when I feel that urge to pull out my phone, like maybe I'm waiting in a line and I'm just like, oh, I feel awkward. I should pull out my phone and see who's maybe texted me. But instead, I'll just try and do these 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s. And you might surprise yourself. You might see something really interesting or hear something really interesting and things that you would have never noticed before.
And just to add that all of those things, you can only experience them in the moment. We can't taste yesterday's food. We can't smell the perfume we wore yesterday. You can't see what's gonna happen tomorrow. So all of those things happen just in the moment. What a beautiful way to practice mindfulness, just using our senses, those things that are always with us. And yes, free Mackenzie, thank you. Yeah, so daily practice. So mindfulness, like anything that is new, if it is new for you, requires practice. We need to practice in order to get better at it. And when we start, it can be daunting actually. But like I said, just like with any other thing, we need to practice it. So you choose when you want to start. So like when you're starting a new activity, you can decide, oh, okay, from now, every time before I pick up my phone, I'm gonna take 2 breaths. That's something, and it takes practice. And you can do it like bite-sized. 2 breaths is a bite-sized, I'd say, and it can be easy to do. And as you get better at it, then you bring your attention to your bodily sensations. Sometimes it's not always fun. So especially like for people who suffer from chronic pain, we find that we do like a body scan with somebody who suffers from chronic pain, and they're like, I don't like it. Like it made me to pay attention to the pain in my body. And it's something that most often when we are in pain, we don't want to pay attention to it. We want to pay attention to something else that makes us happier. Maybe I want to be at the beach instead of paying attention to my body. But without judging, that is just what mindfulness is. You can decide to pay attention to your body, or you can intentionally decide to go to the beach in that moment. Like, I am not paying attention to what's happening in my body. I will be at the beach. I'll be at my happy place. And it's okay. And that is mindfulness because you are doing it intentionally. You are aware that you are not being mindful in that moment. And then also just learning to wait, take time to schedule between events. Like, we don't want to, I think Mackenzie mentioned about multitasking. Before I had it in my resume, like ability to multitask. And when I started doing mindfulness, I took that off because we realized that there's nothing like multitasking. It's not effective. And we really can't do 2 things at the same time. It will be doing one thing very quickly and then moving on to the next thing. So plan, give yourself a little time. Just be intentional about what you want to do. Schedule those things and give a little break. Take a breath between things, and yeah, that will enhance your practice.
I'm just going to add too, I realize, Lynn, we don't even have this on our PowerPoint, but I just want to add in that gratitude is such a huge part of mindfulness, and that ability to take the time to think about the things that we are grateful for in our lives. And sometimes we get caught up on the negatives, right? So we could have 3 awesome things happen in the day, and then we get a parking ticket or something like that. And we're like, well, this day is the worst day ever. I don't care that lady just was so kind to me. It doesn't matter. The world is awful. And so that ability to implement gratitude practices into our daily lives is a fantastic tool as well. So maybe right before you go to bed, you take the time to write down or put in your phone, a notes in your phone, whatever, 3 things that you're grateful for. And the more we do that, it's actually going to be a lot easier for us when we do have those really crummy days, when maybe we get 3 parking tickets in a day, for us to think about the positives in our lives rather than just let those negatives take over. So gratitude can be a great way to practice mindfulness in a very quick, short, simple way. The beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day.
It is, and it also goes back to what are we paying attention to, right? Are we paying attention to just that one parking ticket that we got? Of course, nobody wants a parking ticket. It's like throwing money somewhere. But what about that lady who was kind to you? What about you got like your other things? The sun that's shining today, the beautiful weather, the ability to go out for a walk, and all of those things. So what are we paying attention to?
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. Okay, so we have a video here to kind of summarize why we think mindfulness is a superpower and other people do too. So Lynn and Moira, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. So I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribes for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
So we really love that video. I think it is a great summary as to why mindfulness is such a powerful tool. Just that ability to take it one day at a time, that ability to check in with our body and label those sensations. Yes, I have tightness in my chest. Yes, my ears are becoming red. I think I'm getting angry, but that's a lot safer than becoming pissed, as they say in the video, becoming everything that we're thinking and habitually reacting in a way that later we're like, ooh, that was embarrassing. I probably shouldn't have said that or done that. So it's a superpower skill that enables us to slow down and respond in ways we want to, as well as be more intentional with the people in our lives. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get to the next slide there. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And this is just a quote from one of Lynn and I's favorite books called Happy Panda and Mindful Monkey. We usually do show it in our presentations, but you'll just have to look it up on YouTube. But this is a quote. So there's no need to think about what happened yesterday. Yesterday's gone, over and done. And there's no need to worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't here, but today is all around us.
So Mindful Moments. Mindful Moments is a program that we run, and it's a free preventative psychoeducational group that's meant to support parents and children ages 8 to 12. So it has to be that age, but we do run workshops, which we are not very particular about the ages of the children who attend our workshops. Anything under 18 is totally fine for us. So for our group, the intention is to increase mindfulness skills for emotional regulation, which is needed in every family. I have a family, so I know for sure. And not just family, individuals, everybody needs those skills for emotional regulation. And then we also work to increase the use of mindfulness skills in children's daily interactions and responses to stress. So we teach kids about feelings. We find that some kids don't want to talk about feelings at all. Some do, and they just don't know what to do with it. And what we are telling kids is that every feeling is just okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be frustrated. But what are you doing when you're feeling angry? How do you know when you're going to get angry? So it's all about paying that attention to our bodies. And then we realize when we are going to get angry because we see those signs. We notice our ears getting hot, we notice our hearts beating faster and all of that. So those are the things that we are doing with the kids. We improve children's sense of connection with their caregivers, which just helps with that relationship, building stronger family relationships. And yeah, we are currently running some groups right now. We have some more that are coming up, so feel free to check out our program and join us. And it's an 8-week program. Do we have it there? It runs for 8 weeks. Now I was just
8
looking.
weeks, yes.
Yeah, it runs for 8 weeks.
I was going to say too, we have a group starting next Saturday, 10 to 12 in the morning for parents and children. So if you're interested, come our way.
Sure.
Alrighty. And we're going to wrap up here with a closing meditation. Lynn, do you have a script there? Or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I can do this one. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do a self-compassion meditation. This week has been about wellness, so why not come back to ourselves? We believe that most often it's easy to be compassionate towards other people. And in our groups, we talk about being compassionate to ourselves, taking care of ourselves, to treat yourself like you would treat a good friend. And so that's kind of what this is about. So I would invite you to get comfortable wherever it is you're sitting, whatever comfortable means to you. And just have your back straight, not so straight that it hurts. And hopefully not too relaxed that you fall asleep. It's been known to happen. And I'll invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And if you don't, that is fine. Find a soft gaze on the floor somewhere. Just maintain a soft gaze and begin to notice your breath. Just notice the in breath and the out breath. And I'd invite you to think about something that is stressful in your life right now. Maybe something happened to you. What was it? It could be sickness, bills to pay, children who don't listen. Whatever it is, what is it that is stressing you right now? Where did it happen? Or did it happen somewhere? Was it at work, at the grocery store, Just notice and say to yourself, this hurts. This hurts. And when you say that this hurts, this is not intended to mark you as abnormal or deficient. This is a way of saying that you are just like all other people in the world. You are not alone. Everybody is going through some kind of stress. And it's okay. And then I'll invite you to say to yourself, may I be kind to myself. And whatever it is you're going through, whatever difficulties you're experiencing at this time, may I be kind to myself. And one more time, may I be kind to myself. Just continue to notice your breath. And when you're ready, you can move your neck around just to get the kinks out. And open your eyes and come back to the room. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Lynn. Alrighty. Well, that brings us to the end of our presentation. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen there. And now we can answer questions.
Yeah. There were some nice comments in the chat here.
Yeah,
Thank you
so much. This was I really liked that we started with a bit of a mindful exercise and then we ended with one too. Both of your voices are so relaxing. I can definitely see how people would want to fall asleep during meditation. It's just so relaxing. Feels so good. Should we do a poll?
Oh yes, please. We have polls.
Mhm.
Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to do the second poll. Oh, all right, there should be a second poll showing up on your screen there, everybody. So if you want to take a minute and answer that. Okay, I'll give everybody a couple minutes to answer that. I really liked the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think, you know, that's so easy to do like anywhere that you are and really helps you like recenter yourself. And I like, you know, standing in line at the grocery store. I'm so bad at just pulling out my phone and just not being in the moment at all. And I mean, sometimes, you know, you even forget, you're like, oh, it's my turn to go up to the self-checkout or whatever it is. And you're just not in the moment. So, all right, it looks like in our poll about whether we've enhanced an understanding of mindfulness, we've got 86% saying they've learned so much. We've got 14% saying kind of, but I still have questions, which I think is fair. I think we can all continue our learning as much as we can. So do you want me to do the last poll as well right away here? Or should we save that for after questions?
Yeah, if people have questions, feel free to ask, and then maybe we can just do that right at the end there.
Perfect. I know one question came in, and I really liked the quote that you brought from that book. Could you maybe put the name of it in the chat so that people could look it up after this?
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great book. Happy Panda, Mindful Monkey.
Yeah.
And you can find it on YouTube, or obviously it's an actual book too, but we use it on YouTube a lot now. And it's by Lauren Alderfor, I believe. Get her name right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me double check that I have her name
Yeah, and feel free to throw any questions you have in the chat or in the Q&A. I think, you know, we've got lots of really good ideas and comments coming in through the chat.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips other than, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, being aware of your body? Any other tips for someone? I know I myself, my mind always feels like it's racing. And, you know, even when I try to be mindful, I know I can still, those thoughts will still pop up. Do you maybe have any tips about, you know, how we can really keep your mind clear and focused on what's happening? I like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but any other ideas?
You know, so sometimes like our thoughts will race, and that's why we love this book, because it talks about the monkey mind, which is what everybody has. I think studies, research says every person has like 70,000 thoughts every day. So that's a lot of things you're thinking about, and it's okay. So sometimes it's all about just pay attention to those thoughts and then let them go. So when they come in, acknowledge them. This is what I'm thinking about right now, but I'm going to let it go. So a practice that we do sometimes is like looking at your thoughts like clouds. The clouds come and they go. They are never there forever. So just like the thoughts, they come, they go. So when they come in, pay attention to it. Oh, this is what I'm thinking right now. Okay, bye. It goes away, and then the next big one comes, or the small one. It doesn't matter. They could be big, they could be small. It's all very subjective, right? But pay attention to it. And when you're paying attention to it, that's equally being mindful, because you are intentionally doing it. You're noticing that this is what I want to think about, that this one has come. So give it attention and then let it go. Just come back to this moment. Just keep on coming back to this moment.
I like that. I like thinking of it as clouds. So we've got another question here. Do you recommend having a daily practice with a set time, or can you really practice mindfulness in any moment?
I think you can practice mindfulness at any moment for sure. However, if you are a person that benefits from routines and schedules, if you want to start your day with a mindful practice, maybe setting your intention for the day, you wake up and when you're sitting on the edge of your bed, you're taking those 3 deep breaths, or before you go to bed, you're doing a body scan. I think whatever works for you. Mindfulness can really happen at any moment, anytime, anywhere, but we do know a lot of people that like to have that structured. I do mindfulness during my lunch break, or I do mindfulness before I go to sleep. So I think it's up to you and your unique
I like having
practice.
like set times and reminders for mindfulness, but knowing that you can do it anytime, really.
Yeah, definitely.
We have another question. Maybe Lynn, you want to take this one on, but how can mothers stay in the moment while multitasking?
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. And sometimes there's no, like we said, it's all about not judging. Try not to judge yourself, because life happens and it can be difficult to be mindful when you have kids running around, they are screaming, like mine was screaming not long ago, and you don't have control over that. So when it comes to mindfulness, when we talk to parents, especially, we are telling parents that it's about you, it's not about the child, because you don't have control over your child. They'll cry when they want to cry, they'll scream when they want to scream. But what are you doing in that moment? How are you responding? Are you responding or are you reacting? So when they scream, you scream back at them. And we know that if they scream, you scream back at them, then we just escalate each other, right? But what if they scream and you did something different? You tried not to scream, or you took a moment and you just breathe, and then you decide how you want to respond in that moment. How do you want to show up for your kid? Because you want to show up, kids learn from us, and they do whatever they want to do anytime. That is fine. We don't have control over that, but they are watching us, and it is how we respond. That is how they learn. Okay, mom didn't scream, so maybe next time I shouldn't scream. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's just tips. How are you showing up for your child? What do you want your child to see? How are you responding? And yeah, above all, just putting that space between what is happening around you and how you respond to it, how your action, the action that you take regarding that event. Yeah.
We like the 90-second rule too. We say in our parenting groups often, if you give your child 90 seconds before you respond, it seems like a really long time, but often that 90 seconds is enough time for them to sort something out, them to regulate themselves. And sometimes when we engage, we just escalate the fire. And you can even take that 90 seconds for yourself too, right? You don't need to be immediate and respond right away. And that can be anything in your life. Just because we got a text or an email doesn't mean we have to respond right away. So allowing and giving yourself that 90 seconds.
I like that. That's a great tip. And I like that you brought it to other things as well, you know, the text message or, you know, something so urgent, but you can give it 90 seconds and be a little bit more mindful. I really like responding, not reacting. That's, I think, what my major takeaway is going to be is, okay, am I reacting to this or am I actually being mindful in my response? So I think that's a really good tip and easy to take away for like every situation. So it looks like we don't have any other questions. If you do, throw them in the chat or the Q&A right now. But I want to say a huge thank you to Lynn and Mackenzie. This was such an amazing session. And I really liked that we did this at the end of the week. I think it's giving us those tools to move forward in our wellness journey. Now that Horizon Wellness Week is almost over, you know, we can practice mindfulness anytime. And that's so awesome, so great. And I'm going to put in the chat here a survey link. So please fill that out. We really appreciate your feedback. And if you are a Horizon resident, if you fill out this survey, you will be entered to win a $25 grocery gift card. And we do have 2 more Wellness Week sessions today. So if you tune in at 1 o'clock, we are doing yoga, movement, and health. And then at 3 o'clock, we have a session about beyond wellness and how to create lasting change. So make sure you tune into those. And thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for having us.